Welcome, fellow drum nerds and music producers. It's Jonathan from Redback Drums. On this channel, we provide you with videos of unique sounding and looking percussive instruments, from sound examples to musical performances, interviews, and behind the scenes with manufacturers. So if you are a drum nerd just like us, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button so we can get the custom drum word out. Today I'm going to explain exactly how to create the best metal kick drum in your face. But if you don't want to see and learn about the techniques in this video, just go to the description below, download the snapshot from our RCS Essentials bundle, put it into your home production and you're good to go. But if you want to learn how to tweak it to your own taste and to your own sounds and to your own productions and to your own key of the song, please stick around.
Redback Drums.
We as Redback Drums are focused on getting you custom built drums to your desktop. This way you can play with sounds of drums that are not available without selling a kidney or two for your electronic drum kit or for your home production. So if you guys have any suggestions for custom or expensive drums that you would love to have sampled, please leave it in the comments below. We will definitely consider adding these to our roster. So without further ado, let's jump into our Cubase session and see what we got. Pretty heavy, right? So here you can see a session, a Cubase session with some guitars, bass, and some brass action. Our sample library hitting the drums, and a kick sample. And this is a kick sample from a famous metal producer. So we can compare and see if we can match the sound as close as we can. So let's first hear the kick sample. And analyze it on a frequency spectrum. So what you can see is a big bulge over here. Let's pause that. So the lowest fundamental is like 64 hertz. Yeah, there is some thump on 140 hertz. And a lot of information. It's even louder on the top end, 5.6 kilohertz. There's a little crazy bump here around 900. That would be to add some character, I guess, the character of the bass shell itself. But every bass drum, every miking technique, and every muting of a drum has its own character, so they will all have their own type of sound. But we're going to see if we can get close to this sample. So, but to get back, it's a lot of low end and a lot of high end to get definition through a dense metal mix, right? Like this one. So I tried to get it as close as possible, but we have a lot of options in the DS Drum RCS Essentials. So let's walk through them. So let's first hear the drums solo. Sample. So let's break this down. Let me mute everything So let's analyze each microphone which make up the sound, because it's different microphones creating this clicky bass drum sound. So first off, the predominant sound of a metal kick is always close mic'd. So the closed microphones are the predominant in a mix. So let's start with what I did to get this clicky sound. So this kick fader is the closed mic in the bass drum. And on its own, it will sound like crap, really weird, because it doesn't sound like a bass drum. But that's not the point. We have different mics to get to our goal. So from the kick in microphone, I want the snap. That's enough. I don't want low end. I don't want any other mid-range bullshit. Just a click. And so I can control that with all the possibilities within the library. So let us hear what it does. That's it. How did I get there? First off, I gated it as I really shortened the sound. So let's hear what without the gate. So I don't really need that on these fast bass drum hits. So let's shorten that up. Again, whole mix, just a ticky. Let's see, with the pitch wheel, we can tune it as we want, just the kick in microphone. So it's all up to your taste and the song type, if you need a higher clicky sound or a lower clicky sound. For example, higher clicky sound. It's that easy. So there's some more steps to get there. Let's see what I did on the EQ side of it. So I engaged the high pass filter and rode it all the way up to about 300 hertz. I put a lot of gain on 5 kilohertz, just like the sample, and a little bit more, maybe 1.5 dBs on the 8 kilohertz. That sounds like this. Let's take that off for a moment. Let's solo this guy. So that sounds more natural, right? Except for the gated sound. So then you get a lot of click with the equalizer on. Okay, next step, FX tab. So with the transient designer, I put a little bit more of attack. We can go even crazier if you like, but that depends on your taste. Again, shorten the sustain all the way down. We don't need a lot of sustain on the kick in microphone. So the tape saturator a little bit up to tame that harshness, just to cut off a little bit of the transient. With the spark, a little bit more of attack again. And the reverb, we're not using the reverb. Pop. So let us hear one by one. a little bit more attacky, but you can go even crazier. Tape saturator. And this bad boy does a lot of work. To get the spanky spank. Okay. So that's it for the kick in microphone. Let's put in the kick out microphone. So what I did here was another gate. Because of the speed of bass drum hits in modern metal, we don't want a long hitting bass drum. Boom, 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 boom. That will transform into a bass guitar. So we need short, punchy, smack in your face sound. So first thing I do is gate the sound. And in this library, you don't have any bleed of snare drums or toms in the other microphones. So you can really dial in the gate to perfection. So gated it. Without the gate. So what I'm focusing on when I'm listening to a bass drum is that the bass drum stops before the next hit starts. Does that make any sense to you? So the bass drum needs to stop before the next hit starts, right? So when I'm playing the song, I'll be gating it that the bass drum hits are really defined. If we're making it long, it gets washy-wash, and we don't want that. We want really tight. So for anybody who's wondering about what these things do, these 3 white bars, this is the attack of the sound, this is the decay of the sound, and this is the hold of the sound. So if you want to kill the attack, you just move this down, but you don't want to kill the attack on drums. Normally, maybe some, but not a lot. Anyway, not on a metal bass drum. So the attack, we're gonna leave all the way up. And then we are playing around with the release time and the decay time of the sound. Up. That's good for now. What did we do on the FX on this one? Also a little bit of attack on the transient designer, sustain all the way down. We don't want a long sustaining bass drum. Not really anything, no gain on the tape saturator, a little bit of warmth to tame a little bit of the transient as well. No reverb, please. So let's see what we did with the EQ. Nothing, no high pass filter, no EQ engaged on the kick out because I'm not really using a lot of it in the mix, but that will become apparent later on. And with the pitch, yeah, this is something you could never do in real life. We can pitch the inner microphone and we can pitch the outer microphone of the kick drum separate from each other. So if you want a higher clicky sound, you pitch the wheel up with the kick in microphone. So if you want a lower fundamental note, you tune or a higher, you tune the pitch from the out microphone. So the next step would be the beef microphone, and this one plays a big part on this sound. This is a sub microphone, added to the bass drum, but on the other samples as well. So let us hear what this bad boy is doing. So really low frequencies with a lot of punch to them. How did we get there? Of course, with the gate. And you can see here, I killed a little bit of attack on the sub microphones, because we already get all the attack from the kick in microphone. We don't really need any attack, the initial attack from the bass drum microphone. So I little bit ducked it a little bit so that it comes a little bit later after the initial kick in hit, if that makes any sense to you. And also gated it really short, and listening to that the tail of the sound is not overlapping the next sound, the next hit. If they do overlap, then you get a bass guitar tone. And that's not the idea. We just want a tight bass drum. So when we put these, let me see what we did more on the FX tab. A shit ton of transient designer attack, compression, parallel compression, full power. This is not doing anything. It's no reverb, of course, and sustain all the way down from the transient designer. Again, just to emphasize the initial boom. We want a lot of thump, but not a long tail, so the sustain is down. EQ wise, let me see. Nothing on the EQ. Okay, that's great. Pitch. Yeah, we can go whatever. You can tune the pitch however you like within the track. You can tweak it to the fundamental note of the song. Yeah, you can really go crazy with this thing. So when we put these three mics together, you get this. A tight, clicky bass drum. But to finalize a bit of the sound, to make it a little bit more natural, because this sounds soloed a bit weird. Not a natural bass drum, right? But let's hear it in context again. So, kick in, kick out, beef microphone, sub microphone. But to give it a little bit more of a natural vibe to it, you can add some of the character microphone. That's what I did, to give it a little bit more of a roomy sound. And yeah, that all depends the taste, of course. But if you listen to the bass drum sample of the famous producer, you can hear there's a little bit of reverb or some ambience to it. Not much, but just a little to give it a little bit of a spatial sound, that it's not only a microphone here, but also that the bass drum is in a room. So how do we do this in the RCS Essentials? Of course, you can add some reverb to one of the microphones on the FX tab, but I like to use really recorded sounds of the room where the bass drum was in. So we've got these character microphones. These are stereo compressed microphones. and we can use these for some room sound, for some reverb effects, for some tail effects, right? So let's see how that sounds. Soloed. So now it's really in your face. And now you're getting some ambience from the room. But also these microphones, I gated pretty hefty, so they don't really overlap too much. But it's all to taste. Depends on the track. If you're having a faster track, a slower track, play around with the gate till it fits the track. If you open it up, then it goes crazy. And on this one, a little bit of overlap sounds more natural, right? Otherwise, you're getting a gated reverb, and that's not really the sound we want on a metal kick. But if you're wondering how to get a gated sound on your snare drum, but if you're wondering how to get a gated snare sound with the RCS Essentials, click the link in the corner. So, back to the character microphone. Let's hear what we got. You see, if we make the sound a bit too long, it gets really washy, and that's not the sound we want. And also, I exaggerated it in with the FX tab, sustain max, warmth max, parallel compression max. Just to emphasize everything, but you can get these, you can back these up and make it a little bit shorter that way. Like this and like that. Then it blends a little bit easier. So with everything together, let's unsolo this stuff. Without the character mic. With the character mic. And put it in how much you like. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, please. I will try to answer them as good as possible. So again, I put the snapshot in the description, so you can download it there and use it and tweak it for your own productions. Thanks for watching. Jonathan out. Rap Back Drums.